Hello everyone, tonight we're doing some more AI-less dungeon, but this time we're actually getting into the gameplay. So first thing we need to do is we need to set up our initial scene. For that, Mythic uses the 4W, or at least the method recommended by Mythic that I'm choosing to use because it has multiple. Is the 4Ws method, where you define a who, a what, a where, and a why. So first, for the who, we're going to be using the character or elements and meaning table. We've got 16. And a 96. Those match up to colorful and weak. For the what, you need to roll in the action meaning tables. Got 90. And 85. And my music seems so stopped. $85. 90 and 85 is either take success or strange tension. I think strange tension makes sense. I mean, the location elements meaning table to figure out where it's happening. 21. And damaged. And tall. Alright, 30. Alright, so now we need another roll in the actions meaning table to determine the why this particular event is happening. We got 33 and 64. So that's either destroy normal. No, not destroy normal, destroy opposition. Or observe. Or fear. I think I've got some ideas. As for this initial scene. This is probably going to be the scene that takes the longest to figure out. That and any interrupt scenes that we have afterwards, because those have a special process to them that regular scenes don't. Let's see, colorful and weak. let's maybe get a bit more details on who who or whom is involved. Because I've got a pretty clear idea on the what, but not quite the whom. I've got I'll locate a good table able to use. Okay, here we go. Character identity. That should help. $19. And 36. 19 is criminal. 36 is foreigner. Ooh, that adds an interesting little spin. So now I need to pull out some terrain. So let's just pull this out as an additive load. It's kind of gonna be a lot of stuff loading in now. Actually, didn't I? I think maybe this bag might contain... No, I think that's from a previous attempt to... You see, here's the problem with just popping this stuff in as an additive load. So this whole thing refuses to be deleted. So I think... I'm gonna save this. And we can grab, like... You get some roads. Maybe grab, but just some buildings. Alright, just gonna place down a mech for scale. Okay, there we go. That should be decent scale for this. Yeah, these are ramps. Yeah, whenever I do this thing, it's not... I think a lot of it's because I have snapping on. Yeah, honestly, maybe we won't even really worry about using that style of terrain for... Because I mostly got these buildings for the... for just kind of the aesthetics of them, rather than, oh, you know, it's hex-based. And I'm just gonna use a red pawn to represent our colorful and weak person. Because they're not like a mech pilot. That's rather weak. It's because they have pretty much no combat skills whatsoever. So multiple pronoun sets for this character. They and he. Okay, so combination of colorful, weak, but also criminal and foreign. Kind of, to me, creates an image of, you know, a very loudly dressed con artist from out of town. So basically, for the opening scene, we're not even involving our main characters yet. Because like this is basically the sort of this is basically sort of like how a lot of series will have like a little scene, like some like Columbo, for example, will sometimes have scenes where like it shows like the murder happening before or Columbo even arrives on scene, because the whole point of the show is watching Columbo investigate. He did. So, this first story takes place in a city known as Tinna. A city that has become almost a ghost town from the sheer number of Fey incursions it has faced. But what's left of the populace is true to the city's name. He keeps going as best they can anyway. This particular story opens on what used to be an office building, but has since fallen into disuse as virtually every worker in the company either died or went elsewhere. These days, it has become something of a combination between a landmark of the city that once was, and a hideout for certain populations of the criminal element. One such criminal, actually, let's give this guy a name. Which, granted, this might not even be the guy's real name, because arcaneArtist. Okay, here's a good one. Tygo Decker. Or a con artist from one of the other city-states. He has taken up residence here after being driven out of just about every other town. He wears one of the loudest suits imaginable. Hard to miss him. Particularly to try and give off an image of vast wealth. All to kind of lure unsuspecting clients into schemes that make people think that if they follow through, they can be on a level of wealth that all the same as what Tygo's appearance would lead you to believe he is on. But despite the building's abandoned status, despite there not even being other criminals in the building. Holding, for all intents and purposes, Tycho is alone in this structure. But he can't shake the feeling that he's being watched. He's checked thoroughly. He has tools that he uses to check for bugs set by law enforcement. Heck, he set some himself over the years. He's searched every inch of this place, and he's found nothing. Okay, the music before was fitting the mood, but not so much that one. So there's only one thing that Tycho can figure it is. It's something of a Fey origin. So naturally, he goes looking for help. Many people turn him away, thinking it's just another trick, because even a number of people antenna are starting to catch on. And he's just been able to fly under the radar enough not to be run out of town at this time. And that's what leads him to the doorstep of a small local mercenary company. He can see the signs that this is a company that deals in combat mechs. People that can help with his problem. If it is indeed what he thinks it is. Now, we generate our second scene. However, it's not going to be much generation unless it's an interrupt. So before we even start working on it, we roll 1d10, and it's a 1. So it's an altered scene. I'm gonna say that that's basically like, because this scene is going to be his initial meeting with our actual main characters. Like, this is how we get our main characters into the story. Alright, scene adjustment table. That's 10, so we make 2 adjustments. One and 7. Okay, so I'm gonna say that it's going to be more the next expectation, because my initial expected scene is like, you know, he actually goes in the building and talks to probably Sage. Like, Sage and Merritt are probably the two that are in charge of actually, like, taking new contracts. So instead, I'm gonna say basically runs into two just random. So I'm gonna say we start from, you know, rolling a d4. We start from Enid and go around. One, so Enid is here. And Merritt is also here. So Tygo arrives at a small little office structure because, like, we're reputation tier 1. We are basically just getting started. Like, there are possibly still holes in the ground in front of the building where the for sale sign used to be. Which really, this isn't even really something that was sold to us. It's provided as part of our contract with the city. Alright, so this green pawn will be Enid. Because I've decided, because I have put some work into setting up an element and system, and I've decided that we're going to have 6 elements, one connected to each, you know, basically one for each of our stats. Those being the classical 4 elements plus void and thought. And Enid is tied to Earth, so I'm making her green. Well, Earth is her primary element. There's not really, like... And meanwhile, Merritt uses the element of thought. And they're going to be teal. Also, Tygo arrives at the building right as Enid and Merritt are leaving for lunch break. Now let's say 50-50. But yeah, like, don't even worry about rolling. They're in like the uniforms of the organization, so Taigo can tell that they're pilots. So Taigo, and almost sort of out of breath after having looked just about everywhere in the city he can find for someone who's willing to help him. All of him explains about what's going on, or at least what he thinks is going on in that tower. So Enid is our main character, so we effectively have direct control over her. Like, she is the player character here. So I'm not even going to roll on the chart for her to determine her actions. She's an empathetic person. She's willing to trust this guy until, especially with, how convincingly concerned he's being. However, for Merit, time to pull out the chart. So it's a D100 chart, just a single D100 roll. 57. Merit's con artist since is, Merit's the internal little lie detector is going off a little bit, but since Enid is so convinced, they're willing. Okay. Let's bring him to the boss. And see what they say. So now we're on to scene 3, which should be the actual meeting. I'm just gonna type out a short sort of synopsis of the scene. Also, end of scene bookkeeping. Which actually, we need to do a couple end of scene bookkeeping things because we've had 2 scenes so far. So actually, our chaos was at 6 for the previous scene. And went back down to 5 afterwards. Because I use randomized chaos rather than going by whether the scene is in or out of control. We also need to roll. Actually, don't even roll because all the motivation charts are at 0. So any result on these tables will be above of the current number. Okay, so looks like I need to five. Even 8. So now we progress to scene 3. Actually, maybe we don't even treat this as a separate scene. Because while it is kind of a change in location, it's not quite a change in actual, like you know, this is intended to be the expected scene of which this was an altered scene, so it makes sense to keep them both within the same scene. So this is gonna be the actual proper meeting. So I'm gonna say yellow. Yellow is going to be the color used for wind, since green is already being used for earth. So so yellow is Zephyros. And finally, the color used for void is going to be black. And so that black pawn is Sage, as they use primarily the void element. I'm going to use the behavior context chart from on the one-page character crafter. To just figure out positions of each character within the scene. Like not so much physical, but to, here's their stance on taking this job. Merritt has already made it clear that basically, just keep the results of this scene's end of the scene bookkeeping and use them for if we get to for when we get to the actual scene 3. Merritt has made it clear that while they seem to be hesitating a little bit, they are going to just see what the rest of the group says about this. So Sage actually shares Merritt's hesitation. And perhaps they're aware of Tygo's reputation. Okay, so the first rolled based on talent keywords, and his one talent keyword is cheat. But so I'm gonna say his skill with dirty fighting gives him a sense, almost in a way of how con artists will kind of know their kind, but not quite. Right, so let's see. I'm gonna let Zephyros make a reasoning check. He doesn't have any traits to evoke. No care. Doesn't really have anything that improves his reasoning past a 1. Yeah, I'm gonna say like I mean, in like Pathfinder First Edition, the sense motive check is usually like an automatic success. At least from the GM's end, would be considered an automatic success if the target is being genuinely truthful. You know, actually, that's how dense Zephyros can be. I don't think he'd even try to, like, go big brain with this. But again, like I feel like he kind of gets the vibe. Like, yeah, sure, this guy is a liar, but he's not lying now. Basically, we've got two votes on taking this job versus 2 votes on taking this job. So I'm gonna kind of improvise a mechanic. And basically allow each side to pull their bargaining together. So 3. This is 2 plus 0. Yeah, because Sage isn't really the bargainer. They're the brains. Means all the time. They're the battlefield leader, so... Okay, Sage and Zephyros are able to come up with the more convincing argument. On the sense of, well... You know, like... I'm realizing it is very fitting considering the setting. Considering what the enemy is. to reference the boy who cried wolf. Like in this world, it's entirely possible that the boy who cried wolf is a retelling of actual events. And thus serves as a more directly a cautionary tale. So now we move on to scene 3, which is when the group actually gets to the building. We need like investigation music. Yeah, this works. They arrive at the building. At least if this scene which admittedly, faith art that's inside a building, it's kind of rough to deal with because it's inside a building. I'm gonna color the mechs with the same colors I use for their pilots. It's just so that we can easily tell who's whose. Man, like I was saying, admittedly, fake creatures inside of buildings are kind of tough to deal with because, you know, they're inside a building. The space is too small for you to take a mech in there. First, we need to roll. See if this is we have an interrupt scene or this scene is altered in any way. Okay, so that's an 8. That's above 5, so we proceed the scene as expected. So the party arrives at the building that in fact they brought Taigo along with them, mostly per Meriden Sage's request to not leave a known somebody so suspicious just alone at the office. Basically, I'm gonna bust out 2 different mythic subsystems. Because there's investigations. and there's location crafting. And this is gonna be a mix of both, as we both figure out what is in this building and we investigate what is happening in this building. So I'm gonna be using Mythic Magazine issue 2. I believe it's issue 6 that has the... Yeah, issue 6 has the rules for mystery adventures. I'm gonna say we basically have, like... Basically, the way that investigations work using the Mythic's system, you have suspects and you have clues. Clues get linked to suspects next at certain points. And once you either have a clincher clue or six or more clues attached to a suspect, that is confirmed to be the culprit. Or at the very least, perhaps as just the conclusion that the investigators come to as to what the culprit is. So I'm gonna say we don't even really, find new suspects. Outside of some very specific circumstances. And this is in this particular investigation. Instead, our suspects are Fey Monster. Or even just Fey. Tygo is lying. Because basically these are less... actual, well, entities, necessarily. So much as they are potential explanations. And then the third thing will be Tygo's being spied on by a human. So this is going to be a large location. And this is going to be a bit of a simplification of the current rules, the actual location crafter rules, in that because it's an abandoned building, there isn't going to be anybody. We have established that other than Tygo and maybe something that's watching him, there's no living things in this building, but maybe bugs. And bugs are pretty much set dressing. Alright, so we roll for the first location. Using a D10. 6. So the first location is just like a lobby. You know, it's where the receptionist for this building would be, if there was one. However, for objects, we got random, so I've got to roll 30. And 35. So frightening, modern. So as our group ventures into the building, they enter into what used to be the receptionist. Hey DJ, hey, how's it going? So the party enters into the receptionist's office. The area at the front of the office building, or what used to be the receptionist, because this place is completely abandoned, and everything is as one might expect for a building in this state. Oh, you're right. You're for a game to release. He's cool. So the room is as one might expect for a building of this type in this state, except the computer behind the receptionist's desk is on. Which is unusual, since one would not even expect it to be functional. Also, I'm gonna roll for what the 3 non-controlled party members do immediately. It's 97. And for Zephyros, despite Evan tries to end the encounter. So I'm gonna say despite his attempt at a tough guy image, Zephyros is clearly scared. Like, he just nothing's even really happened yet. He just doesn't like being in an abandoned building. Especially when the supposedly has some sort of creature lurking in it. Merit got a 79. Just expresses an emotion, but like that just doesn't seem like merit. You know, maybe the emotion is annoyance. We got a 25. A for Sage. Age 25 is based on body keywords. Repair in nature. Sage actually seems distracted by their old wound. So with these two possibly starting to bicker, Sage being distracted, that pretty much leaves Enid to actually, like, actively investigate the location. And so I'm gonna say that that's a roll for reasoning. Right, that's 2 sets of 1. I'm gonna say, like, basically, like, you have to get at least 2 hits to actually complete a task that is at all difficult. So that we don't have a bunch of tasks that are just completely trivial. Because you always get at least 1 hit in this system. Yeah, maybe we... Yeah, let's... Yeah. I'm gonna say it takes like 3 hits total to fully decipher the strange message in an unknown language that is on the screen. Or at the very least, a not entirely familiar language that is on the screen of this computer. We're definitely still in the same scene, so let's just roll a second time. Time to... Actually, we'll roll 50-50 to see if the rest of the party just continues with their current action. And because the additional behavior context table doesn't have anything for continues current action, other than just rolling the same thing as before. That's a 6 to see if Zephyros changes actions. And it'll just be like a 50-50 FD for right now. Oh, so yes, he does change actions. 33. Based on talent keywords. I'm gonna say Zephyros is looking around to see if there's any sign that this is like a trap. But so far is not really finding anything. And I will be right back.
I don't get any sperm, only.
Alright, I'm back. Next, let's... So... I'm gonna say it takes, like, 2 hits to... It's a kind of look the entire room over. So basically Zephyros has scored 1 hit towards that. Without even having to roll because dude's only got the 1 unreasoning die. Basically, if anyone else helps him sort of sweep the rest of the room, known for clues, then it'll be a success. This is Zephyros. Not Zephyros. Merit. 26, so Merit is switching actions. And that's 1 based on identity keywords. Agile, guide, and experienced. Yeah, I'm gonna say that that leads him to go work with the computer. I believe that was 3 hits to decipher the written words on the screen. Merit with their 3 reasoning could potentially get in 1 try. They almost did. So fortunately, we now get to know, does this strange writing actually point us towards anything useful? Right, so that's an 8. And I'm gonna say it's at least likely. That's an extreme success. Yeah, an exceptional yes. Roll twice. It's 92. 9 and 2. Since it only uses a D10 rather than D100. To get a new clue. I'm gonna say it's a clue that is then linked to the suspect, to a suspect, because as we got new clue and link clue to suspect or new clue. So I'm going to just use the let's resolve the new clue first and then resolve the link clue to suspect or new clue result. Because you use the new clue side of that if there are no clues already. $38. And 31. Frightening and exotic. So I'm going to say that the thing that makes it exotic is that it's in the Fey language. It's like, it basically took Merritt being somewhat experienced and studious to be like, oh, this is Fey speak. For them and Enid to really figure out what's going on here. And while they don't know enough Fey speak to really word for word or translate, they know, Merritt knows enough to know it's a threat. So it's something that kind of points towards the enemy being a Fey, the source of this problem being a Fey. Hey, because like, not a lot of people know enough Fey speak for it to write this convincing of a threat. And so that kind of points towards like, you know, this is definitely something of a Fey origin. You know, it's genuine. Yeah, I'm gonna say since everybody else is doing something, Sage will pitch in on... While still being bothered by the old wound, Sage will still pitch in on actively searching the room. Which is enough to... Which means they basically cover the spots that Zephyros is not looked... Oh, because there's just not that much in this room to look at. I'm gonna say it's 50-50 on whether there's a clue that we just find somewhere else in the room. And we already found one. That was almost another exception. No, 31. So no, it wasn't almost. It Well, but it is a yes, so we already got one clue, so that's going to be 9. Nine on that elements table. Link clue to suspect or new clue. We've already got... So this definitely makes sense to be a new clue. 33 and 69. Familiar and odd. Could be something that's oddly familiar. Or could be a familiar object that's been rendered odd by, say, its location. I'm gonna say... I'm gonna say it's a mark that seems familiar, or to Sage. I can't quite place why. So we don't yet have 100% confirmation, because like the face speak on the computer could be a previous thing, could be copied from a message from somewhere else. So we're moving on to the next room. And to continue our investigation, so that's... an 11, known or random. I'm gonna say that this is the closest we have to a scene of the crime. As this is the abandoned office that Taigo has essentially taken up residence in. $97 for what Zephyros is up to. Zephyros is like, come on, I think we've seen enough to know what is going on here. Let's leave, please. Man does not dig abandoned buildings, even when it's the inhabited part of the abandoned building. Merit is seemingly starting to enjoy this, as they're actually busting out some of their, like, scientific tools. Tools and Sage is picking things up and looking at them, whether they seem to have any connection to the mystery or not. Also, we need to roll for if there's any particular items in here, you know, beyond what's expected. Nope. Nope, nothing particularly out of the ordinary that's obvious. So, going to take 3 hits to complete a thorough scientific examination. And so far, only 1 hit has been scored. You'll only take 2 hits to find any clues are in here just by a cursory look of over just like everything that is just like all the items that Sage is currently looking at, which they could potentially get in 1 hit, get 1 check. But they did not. And there's enough clutter that just searching the room as a whole takes a whole 5 hit. It takes a whole 6 hits to complete. Because it's just a bit of a mess. As Tygo is clearly not the cleanest individual. All both in track record and in habitation, Asian and habits. Right, so I'm gonna say that everybody who has a task that they are currently doing will just continue that task until it's over. Meanwhile, 28, we will be rolling a new action for Zephyros to be doing. Okay, that's a 50, which is helpful. So gonna roll a D3. He decides to just start helping out. Out Sage with what they're doing. Alright, so Merit is almost done with their scientific examination. Sage doesn't even need to roll because with Zephyros' help, we're definitely completing that task this round. And then 1 more hit towards looking over the room overall. Also, I'm gonna say 50-50 on finding something of use among the objects. I believe a 99 is a... Yeah, the 99 is definitely an exceptional no. No, I think. Yeah. So let's... It says that you can't find any more clues in this scene, but I'm gonna say, like, that basically means that... Like, we're going to be able to continue finding clues in this location, but perhaps means that we've hit a dead end as far as finding physical evidence in the building. Building past what we are able to find in this room. However, Merritt does find something. So 5 plus the 2 progress points we've made. New linked clue. It was 28. Disgusting and clothing. So is piece of clothing that's clearly Tygo's. It was like you can tell by the bright colors and ostentatious designs. And there's something on it that Merritt has managed to identify. It's a new linked clue, so let's roll a d10 on the Okay, that's a 10, so we choose most logical suspect. Yeah, I wrote it down as Tygo's soiled clothing. It's a pair of pants. That points to the man having soiled himself in fear. And he seems pretty convinced that's a fae, so that links to that suspect. So these two will help. Actually, oh 09. These identity keywords. Or it's a Zephyros. Zephyros is one identity keyword is there it is repair. Yeah, maybe as a technologically minded kind of guy, he's kind of thinking about is it that unusual that the computer was on? Like, would it be reasonable to expect that it's functional? Because that could be signs of phenomena all its own. That's a complex enough concept that it will take 7 hits to really get to the bottom of it. But he's made 1 hit so far. Meanwhile, Sage is being bothered by that old wound again, so they're currently not doing anything. It's another hit towards just searching the room overall. Well, Merit doesn't have a task that they're doing, so 19. Mind keywords. Yeah, they're gonna help out with the room. It's the more practical task. But they only get 1 hit, so Zephyros is continuing to ponder. You know, it'd help if he had a few more brain cells to rub together. Alright, we finished searching the room. $72. Oh, that is... Yeah, I'm gonna say that the odds are unlikely, especially since you've already found some things and had an extreme no. of this location, so no, we don't find anything in there. So I'm gonna say with the physical part of the investigation being at a dead end, that's a sign that we move on to a new scene taking place outside the building, where you know, we're kind of seeing what Taigo has to say. So end of scene bookkeeping. Chaos factor goes up to 6. And we're probably making some marks on the motivation charts as well. Also, one. It's not really much of anything happening there. I'm gonna say we don't even really need to make any checks so much as we roll. Because Taigo's gonna be completely, like, despite his con artist reputation, is gonna be completely honest here. So it's entirely up to, if there's anything awry, it's simply like his memory or his perception didn't get everything 100% accurate. So, question number 1, what has he seen that makes him convinced that it's a fae? I'm gonna say these are probably all... I'm gonna say these are likely. 91. But he has not seen anything of relevance. And so, has he heard anything that points to it being a fae? That was almost an exceptional yes. On him hearing something. So 5. We didn't. Okay, it was a 10, so. Yeah, it was a 5. On finding on potential new clues, so. Oh, 3 8 points, so new linked clue. And it'll be linked to whatever is most logical. Now for a list of suspects, so 66, natural. Meaningful. I tell ya. When you're in a building like that, you expect like creaking, maybe even the skittering of some kind of vermin. But what I heard wasn't any of that. Wasn't anything that you would expect to hear in the middle of the city. It was a howl. That's a clue linked to suspect 1. So I guess I think our we're clearly getting fairly close to confirmation that, yes, this is a Fey threat. I'm gonna say our next question is, what's your proof that wasn't just like a neighborhood dog? $20. So he does have some proof that it's no just like regular dog. Alright, so that's a 10. New clue. I'm gonna say that this is... Actually, we do have... Well, didn't you see the marks in the reception area? Huh? Don't those look like claws to you? He was able to fill in kind of the blanks on the mark. Do you know where such a creature... I'm gonna say our next question is, do you know where such a creature could be hiding? Hiding in the building? That would be no idea. Our next question, have you seen any other physical signs of such a creature inside the building or nearby? 16. That was almost an exceptional yes. Then says being 8. Plus 4, because I believe we've been to the... I believe it's 4 times now that we've been to the... Right, new clue. $49 and 78. Large and powerful. Well, I've seen... Can't quite confirm that it's the thing, but I have heard something moving around in there. It's definitely big enough to know that I'm sure it ain't no rat. At least not a normal one. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's been long enough. Like, Zephyros been percolating on it long enough to figure out. Nothing interesting about the computer. He has been thinking about long enough to conclude, nah, totally normal. Totally normal for the computer to be functional. You know, there's nothing important about the computer beyond what we saw on the screen. I'm gonna say, like, we're pretty much out of things to ask Taigo, so we're moving on to scene 5. Because to me it makes logical sense that we would move on to something to kind of test. Chaos factor is down to 5. So that's an 8. An 8 and a 2. So nothing particularly big happens in the end-of-scene bookkeeping. So that's a 3. Which means this is going to be a bit of an altered scene. I'm gonna say that the expected scene is that we'd be setting something up out here. So the altered scene is that we have to send Sage inside as the one member of the party that's trained in non-mech related combat, to kind of flush the thing out. I'm gonna say, so it's difficulty 6. Next one will take a total of 6 hits, I'm gonna say, with slashing, to kind of just make enough of a ruckus. To get the attention, to either get the attention of this thing, or confirm that it's not there. Meanwhile, the rest of the team be waiting outside in their mechs. We'll have Sage's mech parked like right next to the building to make sure that they can hop in as quickly as possible. Alright, so it takes 3 rolls. So now, I'm gonna say with everything we have that's pointing towards this thing, like we don't have the 6 clues, it's likely. $29. And it's going to take 6 moves, and it's going to take 6 hits for Sage to get for Sage to run from where they currently are or get outside. I'm gonna say, you know what, like, I'll actually let them have 2 dice. And this is the distance of the monster from where their Sage currently is. So the number of hits a monster needs increases by 1. However, to start things out easy, this is a tier 2 Fey Beast. He's like the lowest tier here that exists. This because a tier 1 is a completely inconsequential threat. And the way I have Fey Beast set up, they don't roll dice, they just use their tier as their number of hits for just about everything. So it's moving. So basically, it's moving at a pace of 2. Right, so here's now I'm going to, since now the beast is right on them, I'm going to give Sage a slashing roll to see if they can fend it off well enough to get it away and make another piloting roll. I'm gonna say 2 was enough, because in this circumstance the attack is more about stunning than anything. Alright, so they're able to get out and into their mech with the thing and just like right on their tail. I could have sworn there was like a wolf or something. Oh wait, there we go. No animals. Wolf. All of it. And so basically, the sort of big bad wolf comes charging out at full size. And that naturally Tycho just looks at. If he was even there while this was going down. Getting more note cards as basically an initiative tracker. I'm gonna say that this should be a new scene since the focus is no longer on luring out the monster and is instead on fighting the monster. The chaos factor reduces back down to 5. And now reduces down further to 4. It's Wolf. Sage and Merit. So Wolf gets a Wolf automatically gets a 2 because it's a tier 2 Fey Beast. And he's a Enid got a 1. So she's going after the monster. Or Zephyros, the piloting of 2, but his mech is good at moving quickly. It's still only a 1. So he goes before Enid, but after the monster. With my current setup, Sage pretty much always goes last, so I might honestly end up reconsidering the way that I do initiative for this system. Okay, so the Wolf goes first, followed by Zephyros, then Merit, then Enid, and then Sage. Alright, so the Wolf needs to select a target basically. It's going after what it was going after before. So that means that so it's a 2d6 roll for one hit. So reduces 2 damage down to 1. And for Sage. And it's just going to go for another attack. That's another 1 hit. Alright, so now Zephyros' move. No, so you don't roll to move. Zephyros this is just always move 4 plus piloting, and I'm gonna say that includes the bonus from his max thrusters. So he moves, so he can move up to 7 hexes a turn. So he gets right up in the wolf's grill. Alright, so he got 2 hits, so that's 1 damage. Actually, let's have him activate his charge. It'll be an additional 1 die. So he gets to do 2 damage, actually. That knocks the his hit points down from 12 to 10 because of Fabi's hit points are equal to 10 plus their tier. But the charge only applies on the first attack after moving. So the second one just gets 1. One point of damage in. But hey, it's knocked down to 9. Now we move to Merit. Who's first going to roll to try and figure out any abilities that this thing has beyond what it has already shown. But 1 hit is not going to do it for that, I'm going to say. Now we move on to Enid. It's going to move to like right here. And activate to hit her shield because that should, I'm gonna say protects all allies within 1 space, giving them an additional, effectively an additional point in endurance, and until her next turn. The Sage misses because that's that's only a So that's a 2-hit. So got 1 point of damage in. Oh yeah, I didn't even have... I think we're actually gonna do a little bit of retconning just to get Merit caught up. Oh yeah, Merit's only got shooting of 1. Shooting of 1 and slashing of 0. Oh, so... Maybe I do need to adjust these rules a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna say that, like, you only have to get a number of hits equal to the... that's greater than the tier of the enemy to be able to have extra hits to spend on bonus effects. I think starting effectively now, just so that, you know, Merit can actually hit things. Because, like, it seems dumb to make a game about combat mechs and then make it possible to build a character that can't hit anything. Alright, so the wolf, I'm gonna say, turns its attention to Zephyros, because he got up in its grill and Nolan also hit it pretty badly. So that's... Alright, so Zephyros takes 1 damage. And then another 1 damage. Then another 1 damage. And then back to Zephyros' turn, so Zephyros will return... It will basically sort of return fire. Alright, 1 hit. Well, 1 damage. 2 damage. 3 damage. So we turn to Merit. Just unloads on the thing. And takes it down. And see that, like, that's kind of like that. This is something I'm gonna have to think about. It's just like the feel of the combat mechanics. Which I mean, I suppose worst case scenario, if I continue this past the pilot, could just switch to a different system altogether. Because, you know, these are pitfalls that are mostly because I'm making the system as we go. Oh, so down to Chaos Factor 3, Scene 7. I need to check something with some of the rules for the various subsystems that are going in the background. Okay, so no, it's a not yet on that. This is basically team's first victory. So I'm gonna say that this is where we get into the mission completion rules. But at the end of the mission, and we roll one die for each of the following achievements. Mission completed successfully. All party members are in the good graces of the client. No significant harm to property or bystanders. At least one non-party member used a style effect. So we're getting at least 2, maybe 3. Because I'm gonna say, like, the wolf did deal some damage because it because, like, this is a wolf the size of, like, a car, and it just, like, busted through the door here. However, that's not the client's property. So that doesn't count. Alright, so we got two hits. Well, I do wonder if I should maybe have rules for, like, if you know, your client is part of the criminal element, And because, like, I mean... You know, how much are people gonna look to the review of a con artist when in comparison to how much they're gonna look at the review of like a city official? I guess really one thing I could do to adjust with the combat field is to just change the number of attacks one can make in a round. You know, like I'm kind of basing this off of Pathfinder 2nd Edition's action economy, but that's in a system that has a concept of missing. And even increases the odds that you will miss with each subsequent swing. Maybe we actually want to move towards something more along the lines of Pathfinder 1st Edition, where you go like usually one attack a round. Okay, however, we do now have a working relationship with Tygo. I'm realizing that... Yeah, I think I'm gonna make a quick change. Nah. Because, like... Reputation tier is a measure of your company's reputation. So rolling for it kind of makes sense, because it's like here's like the good reviews you're getting, the word of mouth, that kind of thing, more so than the direct trust of a specific client. Currently, we can undertake missions of at most tier 2. And the tier of a mission is basically like a kind of an abstraction of generally how difficult the mission is expected to be in world, and mechanically it's the sum of the tiers of all the enemies that will be fought. Although there is some stuff that I'm working on with this setting, that I'll have to figure out how to incorporate into the tier system in that regard. Because there are certain types of enemies that don't use tiers. But we haven't encountered them yet. basically, you know, we've fulfilled our contract. And like because this campaign is going to be using the I seem to have misplaced a document. There we go. Because we're effectively using the procedural drama system from Mythic Magazine number 26. Exit. Like effectively maybe we have like one more scene before we like outright call it like case closed. I'm gonna say that this is part of the first victory scene, where we do just like one last sort of once over on the interior of this building. And I'm gonna say it's at least unlikely that we'll find anything that points to the threat not being completely resolved. Yeah, nothing seems to indicate that the threat is unresolved, so yes, that's effectively the episode. Like we have like a little epilogue, perhaps. And I guess that frees up next Monday for either like a prep session for the next pilot. Because basically what I'm doing is like, we're only gonna start having a full AI-less dungeon season next year. Until then, we're going to be running through a series of 3 pilots, of which this is the first. And basically, once all the pilots are done, I'm gonna upload everything for them, all like 3 to 4 streams or whatever, to YouTube all at once, so that I can rule out, oh, this one got more views because it's older. And I'll use that to help inform my decision on which one to bring forward. Of course, I'm also going to be taking into consideration like any direct feedback and and how I feel about a given pilot. Because, you know, one of the real important things to keep in mind, and with any kind of creative work that is not just personal, you know, that is designed for an audience, is the balance between what the audience wants and what you, the creator, want. It's like, this is kind of just a stage of like, here's a way of figuring out which one seems like. I might even do like a poll like sometime in probably like January, just to get like general feedback. I could even make like a full-on survey. But, you know, this is like the general premise of this kind of implies like there's a pattern of go in, fight the monster, yay, we're done. Even though, like, which actually we could potentially have like a second episode that's technically part of the pilot, because like I'm giving each of these like 4 streams. You know, if we can wrap up an episode of any of them in one stream, then but like, I mean, I had planned for this to take 20 scenes. But because we got to and through the conflict fast enough, we only needed a grand total of 7. So maybe, yeah, maybe we can go with 7 as the default. Let's maybe like see about having it be around 10. Because like part of it is because I didn't really need to make use of any of the keyed scenes that are default to the procedural drama system, which are create the conflict thread, which triggers if you don't have a conflict thread, a central conflict thread for the sort of episode. By the time that you've generated two, by the time that you've gone through 2 scenes, make progress. If you haven't made any progress, towards resolving the conflict in 3 scenes, in a quarter of your allotted scenes or time. 10 would be only be like 3 scenes. Means maybe we want to let's round it up. Let's bump it up to like 12 as our general idea of how many scenes an episode of this will take. Which the really big thing is that like we're only nearing 3 AM. Yeah, it's possible that, well, you'll complete the adventure before reaching the conclude the conflict thread at Keats scene. However, if you don't, this Keats scene ends conflict thread. Yeah, other than stuff with the epilogue, like, it doesn't really make sense to have more happen. Like, yeah, we were victorious, like, you know, let's throw one thing before we do the epilogue. Well, before we roll for the possibility of an epilogue. Yeah, no. The next scene is just like everybody heading back to the office to like celebrate their victory, and nothing out of the ordinary happens because it's not an interrupt or because it's not an interrupt or a altered scene. And to me, it just doesn't make sense for it to be, especially with our chaos being so low. That's part of why it's not an altered or interrupt scene for that matter. Alright, so we've rolled, because I'm using Brock Jones's dice roller to have my sort of secret rolls. Oh yeah, I need to... I haven't done that part of post-scene bookkeeping. So let's do that. Okay, nothing happens with regards to that subsystem. Now let's see. Let's see if our epilogue is something that... Okay. So our epilogue is an 88. Which means new crew. An NPC in this adventure is not part of the crew is added to crew. Choose the NPC that makes the most sense to come up with a reason why they are now a recurring character in the drama. So Taigo is gonna be a regular character now. You know, he's not part of the party, but they are going on the crew section of the sheet. So what's a good way to like frame the epilogue? You know what? Taigo shakes everybody's hands. And so before turning around and heading back into... Because this is a building that nobody owns. It's effectively his place. But after he's gone, all four our pilots look down at their hands and see that somehow in the midst of the handshake, he deposited a business card in each one. And I need to pull up like one. I believe there's there was a random generator that has exactly the kind of thing that I'm looking for. I'm just not seeing it. Might just be on the wrong website. You know what? They actually, like, one of them, like, I think Zephyros actually like flips it over and somehow, like, the others follow suit after a couple minutes. Somehow, he has handwritten "See you again soon" on the back of each one. Despite presumably having no opportunity to do this. Because, like... Because, you know, it would be normal if it was just "See you again soon." But refers to each of them by name. Like, Zephyros's card has on the back, handwritten, "See you again soon, Zephyros." Oh, so basically, that's it for episode 1 of AI-less Dungeon Grimm Tides. Well, Grimm Tide. So, I think 3 or 2 a.m. I've been live for 3 hours and 13 minutes. So I think... I'm gonna keep going with something else.